There's a song
Yeah.
that I usually, All right, so there's a song that I usually play. I was about to tell you that, but
Yeah.
we are live now, and it's a beautiful evening to everybody. Good evening, our
Mm.
friends. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome to episode number 2 of Truth and Transformation
Season 2.
with
You
me,
forgot to say
Shadrick.
season 2. You
Yes,
said
season
episode
2.
2.
Episode 2, season 2. We
Yeah.
concluded on season 1 last year, and now this
Yeah.
year we are doing with season 2. Of
Yeah.
course, it's gonna go to season 3 up until we
Mhm.
don't know when it's gonna end. But we thank you so
Yeah.
very much for joining us as usual. Share the live with those you care about. Okay. So we are saying good evening to you, Upe. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to see you. How has been your day? And of course, how is Big Mose?
He's doing very well. My day has been good. How has your day been?
My day has been level. Right? I've not
Level?
been feeling too well. I've been leveled. I had a bit of some. I have a bit of some flu,
Oh.
so and a bit of some cough. But
Mm.
yeah, my head diary sanako.
I mean,
Kwa kumaya ditu awa differently,
mulwala
Walifranke
shani
mirwarire.
mwebalensu.
Ifwe nga natulwala ifwe yaishi bikwala ngati nabalwala aba.
Atina
Franke
balwala?
mirwarire evening, Derek. It's good to see you. Please share the video with those who care about. We are
Mhm.
so happy to have you. Yeah, I don't know from Rona Kumieno. Kumieno Kumayadi sana wupe.
Oh, yeah! Kumayati nakanina. Which mayati?
Kumieno Kumayadi
No, no.
sana. So it's great, Wupe, to have you on the show. And I'm happy that we are discussing something very important, how to
Yep.
think like an investor. All right, now I'm going to tell you what you wrote, okay? Here's what I saw from, your script. And I like it part because
Sorry,
you've
Shadrach.
been
Can we do a sound check with people who are on the live? Because I feel like I get a sense that you're breaking. So could someone please confirm how good the sound is? Are you able to get us clearly? Are we loud? Do we have any comments about that, Shadrach?
all right. People tell us, is our sound okay? Can you hear me? Somebody give us some feedback. Wope says we need to do our sound check.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah, let's
know
just do a
if you
quick sound
can
check
hear us.
before we get in.
Or maybe I can also try and check from my phone to just get the sound if the sound is okay. Please, somebody give us the feedback, guys. How is our sound? Rosarin says loud and clear. All right, so
Perfect. Okay.
they're
We're good to
able to
go.
hear us. Yeah, we are good to go. Even me, I can just confirm from my phone. Somebody give us the feedback, guys. All right, so
Perfect. Okay. We're good.
that means we are okay. We are good to go.
Mm.
Thank you so much, friends. Thank you so much, Lozarin. It's good to have you. Sahili Kumoyo, it's good to have you here. Please share the video with those who care about. Freedom Answer, it's so good to have you. Thank you very much, friends. Share the video as we discuss this fundamental topic, how to think like an investor. And I love this topic part because it has come at a right time. Today, the president said, when we send our children to school, they should not go to school simply because they want to come and get jobs. They should think
Mhm.
of becoming business owners. And you, my friend, today what you've said, you've said something extremely fundamental, something very important in here. And I want to quote from what you wrote in the afternoon. You said here that 5 ways to thinking like an investor in your 30s. All right. Now, here you said one of the most frustrating questions asked to financial experts as at every level is if I put X amount in X
Mhm.
investment vehicle, how much will I get back? This is the question most people ask, Ruben. I have 10,000 kwacha. If I put my 10,000 kwacha in a government bond, how much am I going to
Will
get?
I get
If
out?
I put my 15,000 kwacha in this business, how much am I going to get? So that's the question that almost every person wants to be answered. And I like what you mentioned. So I want to hear your views, Rupe, regarding this issue as we explore the 5 ways into thinking like an investor. Why this
Mhm.
question and why is it important?
So why this question is because I've definitely asked that question before, right? And it can be very frustrating from the expertise side because you're like, seriously though, are you not going to make an effort to think this through or even make a bit of study? But when I saw it come up a lot, I've heard it a lot, and like over the last 6 7 months, I hear it coming up over and over again. Remember when I put out the book Investments Simplified, right?
Yes.
Almost, I think 50% of the people who bought that book, maybe even 60, asked me, it's like, oh great, I've bought the book now, this is how much I have, if which vehicle should I put it in and how much will I get back? And I found myself always explaining, well, it depends, what are your goals, why are you investing this money, how is it coming and how regularly do you want to do this, right? So I started to think about why did I ask the question in the first place in the beginning, and in just listening to people as well, I learned that them and I had a lot in common before I had gotten a little more knowledge around investing, right? And those are the three reasons that I gave in today's blog post. One being that it wasn't that I was lazy, right? It's just that
Yeah.
the investments I was exposed to earlier, which were the bad investments, always sold that like a lie really, where they tell you, okay, if you put in 20 kwacha, you're going to get 500 kwacha in 3 weeks. And those are the more loud investments. Those are the more common investments than the proper investment vehicles that I came to learn about later. So the willingness to invest was there. The money at the time was available. I just wasn't properly educated, right, about investments. Also, life's very busy. I have a lot to do. So if someone can just give me a shortcut, I was happy to take it. Just tell me, Bupe, put money in government bonds. If you put 10,000 kwacha, you're going to get 20,000 kwacha. I was happy to do that because it meant that I saved on time and I could be more productive elsewhere. So those are some of the reasons why I thought that question is very important to address, because sometimes it may just seem like people are being lazy and they don't want to invest, they don't want to know. Sometimes the problem is just basically that they just don't have the knowledge, and they're not exposed to the right investment vehicles and the right knowledge about those investment vehicles. So I think that's why I thought answering that question was sort of important to
Fantastic.
start with.
I think that's great, Rupe.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So what helped you? Right now, you're asking this question as well. Like many other people asking, if I put X
Mm.
amount of money into X investment, how much am I going to get back? So what helped
Mm.
you to gain some understanding of how to answer this question, and how did you now start slowly navigating the challenge that comes with not having enough information regarding an investment?
Yeah, so I also said in the article today that I had started investing when I was very young. Okay, not very young, I was 18. So by US standards, that's around the time you're probably independent, right? So I started investing quite
Yeah.
quite early. So I've just always been curious about money and I've always wanted to have a lot of money in life, and I've pursued that path quite
Fantastic.
diligently. Yeah, I've pursued that path. So I think it came from curiosity, right? And like I'm saying, it starts with a question. Like if and what I love about questions, Shadrach, is I don't think there's such a thing as the wrong question. If I have
Yeah.
10,000 kwacha and I put it in an investment, how much will I get out? It's not the wrong
Yeah.
question, right? Or it's not a
Yeah.
bad question. It means that a
Yeah.
person is in the state of mind where they are wanting to learn. And sometimes when
Yeah.
you're wanting to learn, you ask the wrong question, but that, okay, now I
Yes.
say there's a wrong question. Yes, you don't ask the correct question, but you leave room for opportunity for you to get the right answer. So in keeping on asking the wrong questions, someone says, look, these investments you keep looking at, it doesn't work like that. So there's shares, there's bonds, there's fixed deposits, there's unit trust, and there's all these things, right? And those don't work like that. Then we worked through what are goals, and I went on to listen to, like, watch YouTube videos, listen to some people. Then I became fortunate much later could have been a year or two ago now, when I sat down with Chipepo, Finances with Chipepo, who finally explained the linking piece for me, which was the bonds, right? So yeah, I think it was the curiosity. That's how you don't stop just because some people, get into bad investments. One of the worst things that I had was I got, I think, $400, and I wanted to invest in livestock with no knowledge. I trusted my uncle, who was not even like an expert with money, and all that money went under. And this was a long time ago, so that seemed to me like a lot of money. But I guess it's not giving up and then keep searching. I think that's to answer that.
Oh, and Wupe, the question that you brought is a genuine one, and
Mm,
is fundamental to a lot of us.
yeah,
This is a question that makes us to become even more impatient. When
yeah,
people come, even to my office here, they tell me one thing. They say,
yeah,
I have 35,000 kwacha. If
yeah,
I invest it today, how much am I going to have?
yeah,
Now, the people, when they're asking, they're jumping a whole list of things between.
yeah,
And they just want to go
absolutely.
straight to the point and say, you're going to have
Mm,
this. Now,
yeah,
in the eyes of a financial advisor and the financial
mm,
analyst like myself, this is not one of the most easiest questions to answer somebody because they don't
absolutely,
usually like the answer you give them. Because what people
absolutely.
want before they invest is how much is my return?
Yeah,
How much am I going to get if I put into this amount of money? Of course, I do focus on that. We can do a focus for you to show you if you put 20,000 quarter right now, how much will you get in the next 5 years? How much we have in the next 1 year? We're able to do that. But we have to take you through a few things first to get some more information about the business so that we can help you properly. But now, looking at the steps that you brought to the table over here, all right, and I want to agree with you here. You've talked about, thinking of an investment, or thinking of income like a meal. All right. Now, I want you to get back to the part where you talked about, discipline, but also I talked about thinking of income as a seed, not
mm,
just a fruit. Why is that
yeah.
statement coming up?
Okay. So, and just before I get to that question, and I'll come to the steps just now, there's something you said about we don't like what we're told by experts about the steps that
Yes.
are required to get to
Yes.
investing. And I think
Yes.
a huge side of investing is not financial, right?
Mhm.
It's the way you think about it, right? It's and the investment you're going to put in intangible things like time, right?
Mhm.
That's not tangible. Like the sacrifice you're going to make to downgrade, for instance. And these are things people don't want to hear. Cut down your cost of living. Where can you close gaps in to ensure? And
Yeah.
those are not strictly money investments. Those are character investments that are necessary for growth on the investment journey,
Yeah.
right? But now, just to quickly get to your question about why is it important to think about your money, I think what I called it was, I was very specific in my wording when I was saying this. The first one was, think of income as seed, not just as fruit, right? So you know how when you get an apple, for instance, right, or you get a pear or whatever, most fruits, with the exception of the banana, which you throw away the cover, have seed on the inside, right? So, and your income is a lot like that, right? When we finish college and when we finish university, the idea of you getting an income is for you to survive beyond when the job is over, whether your
Yeah.
job is terminated prematurely or your job ends at retirement, right? There's life after that. So when your income comes in, don't look at it like something that you should just eat and finish right there and then. It's something that you have to have stewardship over. So when you look at a fruit, Shadrach, it has most fruit have seed. When you look at guava, you look at avo, you look at apples, pears, and whatever, they all have seed. And the seed is telling you that there's potential for this amount of this fruit to grow beyond this 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 fruit itself that you're eating. So the seed represents the ability to just plant that seed again into the ground for it to grow. And if it is nurtured properly and tended, it will grow after its own kind and it will multiply. And when you look at the guava fruit, for instance, it has multiple seeds on the inside. You
Yeah.
have a choice to eat those guavas and they could make you sick, right?
Yeah.
They can make you constipated or have a runny tummy. And it's a similar analogy to what happens with money when it is not used correctly. If you eat all of it up, if you eat all your income up, soon you will be constipated because now you have a lot of pressure that you can't survive, right?
Yeah.
But if you take some of that seed and put it into the ground and you tender it, you have more guava trees. And what can you do with the guava fruit from those trees? You can sell those to make yourself more income. And I believe that's what the salary is for. It wasn't created for strictly now enjoyment, right?
Yeah.
Jim Rohn, for instance, speaks about the 70-10-10-10 rule, where you live off 70% of your income, save the 10, give you invest the 10, you give the 10, and you use the 10, I think, like for either business or you can lend it out so that it can give you income, because the whole 100 was never intended to all be eaten. So that's why we need to think about the income as seed and not just fruit. So you say, thank you for the 70, I'll eat it, or the 80, I'll eat it, but there always has to be something left over. That's sort of the thought process behind that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Wupe. I
Mhm.
like that. And do you know what I like about this part? Because the example for the fruit, I think makes a lot of sense. A lot of us
Yeah.
are impatient when it
Mm.
comes to investments. We don't really think about the hard work that is behind. And see the same issue we talk about people who borrow money, Wupe. We tell them,
Mhm.
you can't borrow money to start a business. You don't want to
Mhm.
experiment with other people's money. All right. And thinking about this analogy you've used of a fruit, it takes time to grow. For example, the guava fruit has a lot of seeds within. And you said
Yeah.
if you eat too much guavas, we know the outcome. I had a challenge two
Yeah.
months ago. I think you saw that I
I
ate lots of
remember.
guavas. We have a guava tree here. All right. So we have lots of guavas. Even now we have guavas. If you want some, come and get. But
I
hey,
should, yeah.
e- every time I,
I
I have
should.
guavas, there's a fight
Yeah.
in the night, man. There's a fight.
It's a war.
So now, Bupe, I want us to move to your other point. All right,
Yeah.
you talked about when you talked about the fruit, yeah, you also talked about something that I really liked. Okay, you
Mhm.
talked about think, discipline, and patience.
Yeah.
Why is that important for somebody who wants to become an investor? Because you're asking a question: if I put X amount of money in X investment, how much will I get? Why is it
Mhm.
important to think, discipline, and patience in that regard?
So think discipline and think patience is very important because, and it's I find it a little shocking, especially for people who've been to university and college, right? It took
Yes.
you 12 years, right, to get a grade 12 certificate. Then it took you anywhere between 4 and 6 years to get a university paper for you to earn the salary that you earn now, right? So you've gone through college, you've gone through high school, and let's say for argument's sake, someone gets 5,000 kwacha. So by which miracle do we think that 5,000 kwacha will suddenly turn into 100,000 kwacha? It took you all this time to work hard to get into a job that pays you 5,000 kwacha. If there was a shortcut, you would have taken it, right? You wouldn't have taken the school, you wouldn't have done all that to get that job. And it's sort of the same principle that people should have when it comes to investing. Okay,
Yes.
so it took me these years to get this job that is paying me 5,000 kwacha. So you had 12 years to get, you had 12, 13, 14, about 16 years to get 5,000 kwacha. Why not use the principle like that to think about how an investment grows? Because money doesn't double miraculously. You understand what I mean? It grows with the investment you put in. So the investment you put in for a job is your education. So now, if you want to grow it to 100,000 kwacha, how much time, if we're working with ratios or whatever numbers, will you need to put in to move from 5,000 kwacha to 100,000 kwacha? So the approach people must have with investing is the same approach that they had with their education, with their college. They invested time and they were patient. They did their assignments, they attended the classes. When they failed, they did not quit. They went back and learned until they passed. So anything that is worthwhile takes time, right? So that's sort of how you should think about it. Because if it takes you all these years to get 5 pin or 10 pin or even 20 pin, how long then will it take you to make 20 pin into 100? And another way to, and a further step would be to think, if I get the 20,000 kwacha as my pay, and I'm using part of this. Remember, we've just come from thinking of it as seed, and I'm living off 70% of 20,000 kwacha. That means the only disposable income I have for investing is that 30% of 20, right? So if you only have that 30%, how much time realistically will you need to grow that money? So if you are rushing to eat all your seeds, to your seed together with your fruit, and you are rushing to get into debt, and you're rushing to buy the most luxurious cars, chances are you won't get where you want to go. Another part of discipline is clarity. Like last week, we talked about the CIA, being absolutely clear where you want to go, right? So, if, for instance, I want to retire and I want to have 30 million kwacha at my retirement, and I am, well, because I speak a lot to people in their 30s, and I'm 30, and if I earn 20,000 kwacha and I eat 70,000, 70% of that 20, what are the chances I'll arrive at that figure if I'm buying all the things? So there needs to be clarity and discipline in that. When you set the picture of this is where I want to go, your actions should now start aligning with what you say you want to do. There has to be a level of commitment, and this should be reflected in your actions. So we have to think discipline, and we have to think patience, because it doesn't mean now that you've graduated, now you learn to earn 5,000 kwacha or 20,000 kwacha, whatever the range may be. It means now automatically your money will double. That's not how it works. So you have to think discipline, you have to think patience as well.
Wow. Whew, that's deep, my friend.
Yeah, it's
I love the way you've explained it. And this is like to so part because most of the times a lot of people become impatient. And you've
mm,
given a very beautiful example here. You said it took you 12 years to get that grade 12 certificate. And then it takes you between 4 to 6 years to get your university degree. You get a job. They begin to
mm,
pay you 5,000 kwacha. Total of roughly about 16 years to begin to make that money.
mhm.
So how is it possible that now that you have 5,000 kwacha, you want to turn 200 kwacha in a few months' time? It's not
These
making any
miracles.
logical sense. It
Yes,
means patience is key.
mm,
Every good investor will be as patient, and I like the way we've explained. This is the same thing we also advise here. We say, what? If you want to make real money, you must be very much patient because
there's no
when
other
you
way.
are impatient, you are going to expose yourself to a lot of risks. So when you
Mhm.
are patient, you are going to have a sober mind to analyze the risks involved in this business that you want to invest. So instead of focusing on how much money, if I put X amount of money in X investment, how much will I get? You may want to think about what process am I supposed to go through for me to get to this amount of money. And like just wanting to put a
Exactly.
5,000 kwacha and quickly get 100,000 kwacha, it's not going to be very much possible. But again,
Mm.
Wupe, I have seen some other fundamentals here. You also talked about thinking, you talked about thinking discipline, and also you moved on talking about think saving alone can't make me rich. Why
Mm.
should people not focus so much on saving? All right,
You
because
know,
some people,
honestly,
we have a belief,
yeah,
especially here in Africa, we have a
mm,
belief. Save some money to yourself. You have an emergency, use the money, and maybe you want to be the comfortable guy in the family to help everybody else who has a problem. But why is it not a very good idea for somebody who wants to grow financially to only keep thinking saving money?
I was just about to say, I'm almost tempted to let you explain that, because you explain the time value for money so well. you know you explain time value of money, you explain inflation in such a simple way for people to understand without so much as putting you on the spot. Would you like to explain why saving is not a great idea? I mean, I could basically say, look, inflation happens. So, as inflation is going up, it's unlikely that your salary is going up. So it means the cost of living is going here while your pay is here. That means you have a lot of pressure. So even if you started at 5,000 and it was a lot of money, in 3 years, which is usually about the minimum contract, 1 to 3 years, the amount of money you are getting here can't sustain you at 3 years because now inflation is here and your money is here. But I'd like you to explain it, Shadrach, because you explain the time value for money so well. I love to hear it from you. I mean, in the short term, like I say, it's okay to get started, to build your muscle for discipline. It's good, but in the long term, it doesn't serve us. But please do explain to us the time value for money because you explain it so well.
You see, the reason why we always talk about time value of money when it comes to saving is part because money that has been invested today. All right, now let me show you just something. Today we received an inflation report. Okay, go to
Okay.
Zamstat, friends. Be able to read these things. If you go, let me share Zamstat just now, okay, so that our friends may understand what I'm talking about. Let me just go to Zamstat right about now so that I can just share something from Zamstat, okay? Zamstat today gave us something that I think is important. I'm going to go to Zamstat here, also just to show our friends the trending information, of course, here in our country when it comes to Zamstat, so we understand what we're talking about when it comes to saving. We don't discourage people from saving. There should be a limit to how much money you save, all right? You can't keep saving money because saving money alone is a very high risk. Money with time is going to lose value because of what we're able to see now, right about here. So now I am going to bring, of course, the issue of, some start here. Okay, I hope that screen is visible there, friends. Hope can you see the screen? Can you confirm the screen?
It's loading. Yeah, there it is now.
Okay, so now you can see this is trending data today. All right, trending data today. So if I go to trending data today, annual inflation is about how much? 9.4% in January 2023 from 9. So you can see that inflation rate as inflation is going up every single month. Guys, this data is available for all of us to see. Don't be cheated when it comes to inflation, it comes to CPI. These things are readily available. Go to Zamstats, go and read through these things so that you can understand. We have been told today that inflation has of course moved a little bit upwards, but also this is partly because the rate at which money is losing value is moving very fast, which means the same amount of money which if we give you a 1,000 kwacha today, it won't be able to buy the same things would have bought if we gave it to you, next year. But because today your 1,000 kwacha has more value than giving it to you next year. So what an investor does, all right, you can see overall inflation increased to 2.1%. That data is being shown to you there. So I may have just even maybe want to click on the trending, but I'm gonna bring it back later when it comes back on what is trending today. So if we give you if you put money in the bank, for example, at say 10% interest rate, or that 4% which they give you, and then that money you are getting 4%, but your money is losing value, say by how much? By 9%, or like we have seen today, it's about 9.46 9.4%. That means you're saving, the benefit you are getting from your saving is not helping you in any way. All right. Do you know why? Because you gain 4%, but the value of your money is being reduced by about 9.4%. So you're not benefiting anything. This is why when you want to, to think like an investor, you have to think, okay, as an investor, how can I save my money? The only way you save your money is if you beat inflation. But because if you keep 100,000 kwacha in the bank today, and the rate at which that money is losing value is about 9%, if you get 4% on 100,000 kwacha, you're going to get, of course, is it 40? Is it 4,000 on top of that? But you would have lost something about 9,400 on top of that. That means you're not benefiting in any way, right? I'm unable to bring back, I'm unable to bring back the unable to bring back the okay, I'm unable to bring back the okay, yeah,
The
there we go.
page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think about
Okay.
that. So the rate at which your money is losing value is quite higher compared to what you're going to be able to earn. Now you can look at the annual inflation for this country. The inflation is going up. Those of you who are saving money in the bank, you have 100,000 kwacha, and the inflation is about 9%. You are getting 4%. You are losing money every day. Look at annual inflation in this one. Look at that one. Look at annual inflation. It's about 9.4%. All right, 9.4%, and then you're getting 4% on your savings. What are you doing with your money? You're wasting money. Look at that one. Annual inflation to 9.4% in January 2023, from 9.9% in December 2020. Still, even this one is too high. The rate at which your money is losing value is about 9.4%. And you put money in the bank, they are giving you 4% on your savings. You're not making any money. What you are practically doing is simply get your added money and give it to the bank to charge you bank charges and enjoy themselves at the expense of your hard work. So, how do you think like an investor? An investor says, you know what? I'm going to save some money for emergencies. I'm going to have some money in my cash reserve, but how can I multiply my money fast? Then you look for an investment that pays you an interest rate, a rate of return higher than the inflation rate, so that you can beat inflation. And even the banks do this. When banks give you a loan, friends, what do? They incorporate inflation in the interest rate, so that they should not lose the money, because they know if you come and pay money next year, you have lost some value. So how do they add value to the money? They say, let's add an inflation rate to this interest, so that this guy can compensate us for inflation. So now imagine the banks, they know that they charge inflation in your interest rate, but you don't know that. You save with the bank, your money is losing value every year. Of course, you're going to see it will move from 100,000 to 104. But the problem with that 104 cannot buy the same things you could have bought if you use it today. It has lost a lot of value. So I think, just in a nutshell, I wouldn't try to go into a lot of detail on this one, but I hope that on the next session, on a different set, we can talk more about how inflation affects your money in the bank, because your money is losing value at 9.4%, then you're gaining an interest of 4%. It doesn't make any sense. So that means you're giving away 5.4% for free. You're not benefiting in any way. So it's important to understand that saving as a threshold. Once you save up to, and they say the general rule in finance, usually people say save up to 3 to 6 months of initial investment of your monthly expenses. I don't encourage that, because I was 8 months down the line without a job. I didn't have money to parents. So if you can have money to spend on yourself for 1 year, man, then you are safe. You can close that reserve and begin to invest in other investment vehicles that have an interest rate higher than that of inflation. Because the biggest enemy as an investor is inflation. Your money is losing value every single time. So how do you beat inflation? Look for an interest rate that is going to pay you slightly higher above inflation. That when inflation is removed, you remain with something to yourself. That's the whole idea of thinking saving. And I like this point you brought about Rupe, because I think a lot of people need to understand that you can't keep putting all your money in one basket. You need to close your savings account and then begin to invest in assets that pay you higher than the inflation rate. Even the government bonds today, you can see if you get that 10% coupon, whatever it is, it's not making any sense, because inflation is about 9.4%. And for last year, it was at 9.9%. So there was no difference. People are simply putting money and getting back the same amount of money. That's the substance of it. Yeah.
No, I definitely
But
do
anyway, we
appreciate that.
can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so that's exactly where we were coming from with the whole think saving alone cannot make me rich. And another side to it of why, for me, I'm still very much pro a, how you call it, an emergency fund, because a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, I calculated our net worth and I was like, what? I was very happy about it, right? Then I thought, though, what it would mean is I don't have an emergency fund, or we don't have an emergency fund, is it will affect our net worth. And I agree. They say that net worth is like the worst thing to calculate success on, but I think it's still a very valuable thing to know, because when you know your net worth, right, I feel like an emergency fund comes to buffer to buffer that. So
Yeah.
let me explain how I think about it, right? So when I have an emergency fund, right, it's like a hedge. It protects what is my net worth. So I am the investment, right? And this is an emergency fund. The mistake that people make is they start and stop at the emergency fund, right? So you're saving and saving and saving, and you keep creating a hedge. But what are you hedging against, right? So after you are done doing your 3 to 6 months, whichever you decide, and it also can take very long. So it can be one of the things where you're like, okay, I'm building towards my emergency fund. So I'll put X amount of money every month, a reasonable amount to build that emergency fund. But at the same time, you want to be investing because you want those investments to give you an income. So the emergency fund is really what it is for emergencies, right? So if I lost my job today, I don't want to go and touch my investments for them to become my income, because it speaks to the next point. When we're talking about investments, we're thinking long term, right? So while they can come in to buffer me, the emergency fund exists for that, to ensure that if I need to invest money, the investment is growing itself, right? This is going to pay for, and remember the 70, so it's, I think about it as a whole structure. I have the 70, 10, 10, 10. 70 is my income. So there's that amount of money that goes to saving or whatever. Then there's that amount that goes to investing. Then there's that amount that is supposed to be multiplying itself. So if I lose my job, I'm not immediately going to the emergency fund to pay for my expenses. Ideally, there's still that amount of money that I've been putting away that is generating itself. So what does that look like for you? If you are in a job and you have your school, your university, where you're teaching people what to do with their finances, even if your job ends, you can still fall on your side hustle before you
Yeah.
even fall on your emergency fund.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, my emergency fund hedges my net worth and investment, so that the moment I lose my job again, my net worth is not affected, because now I have to eat the investment. So I'm still pro the emergency fund, but I think about it in a cycle. It's in layers. Immediately my
Yeah.
job is lost, I'm not touching my investments, and I'm not touching my emergency fund, and that's where the business comes in, right? Because I'm trying to build a business that I can live off of. It is if this business, that is the middle part, that's not working, is when I can come on the emergency fund to support that. Or immediately the business starts to work, it starts to fund the emergency fund before I get to the long term, which is my investments, which ultimately add the majority side of my net worth. So which is why I am pro an emergency fund, because it hedges in the layer of how I think about my finances. And I'm not at the place where it sounds as fancy as it does, but
Yeah.
that's the goal. That's sort
Yeah.
of the goal with where we're taking this. Yeah. So
That's a
yeah,
good point, Whoopi, you've made
yeah,
there. And to be honest, even the way we make our network templates, I think
yeah.
we've made it a point to ensure every network template contains an emergency fund.
Mm.
Emergency is money that you can quickly tap into whenever you have a problem. That's why it's called emergency fund. But
Emergency.
again,
Yeah.
there's a way we help our people to know how to use. There
Mm.
are some emergency funds that
Yeah.
generate an income, and then there are some funds that are stagnant. Now let me give you
Mm.
an ideal example. Say, Mope, if you have an emergency fund and you've put 100,000 in there and it's stuck in the bank, what you have done, you've
Yeah.
thrown money under the bus. That money is losing value every single day because
True.
inflation is up by 9.4%, and we have seen a monthly increase of 2.1%. Just recently, I showed you the results. That means that money
Yeah.
you've saved, all right, you are simply paying the bank charges. You're simply paying the
Mm.
bank, those service fees and stuff like that. The money is losing value every single day. So the best
Yeah.
way to have an emergency fund is to have a fund that pays you an interest rate that beats above inflation. And now there are lots
Mm.
of companies that can help you that offer those services. Where you say, "Okay, fine, I'm gonna put
Absolutely.
something I can access," and instead of having an emergency fund, this is what we do. Abope. We say,
Yeah.
"I have an emergency fund that is multiplying at a rate higher than that of inflation,
Than
and then
inflation.
have
Absolutely.
have a checking account." Okay, a checking account,
Mm.
people, is a transactional account where you can tap into every single time. Right about now, if
Yeah.
you want to buy pizza, you just go and withdraw that money. You want to do any whatever you
Yeah.
want to do, you can cash that money. But
Yeah.
again, that checking account should be the one you connect to emergency fund, so that the money, the checking account should have a threshold. Let's say if you hit 50,000, you leave it there. You can access it anytime, and then the other money which is supposed to be going into the checking account begin to go into this fund, which earns an interest higher than that of inflation. So that you don't have to have a lot of money saved, not earning any interest. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
what Bupe is saying is extremely fundamental, friends. If you don't have an emergency fund and you have a business, the moment you lose your job, where do you fall? You fall on your business. Now you begin to chew your profit. You find it twice as hard to grow. And see, this is why
Yeah.
I agree with what Bupe is saying, but because most of the people Bupe are in that cycle where they think that having a business is an emergency fund. When they lose
Mm.
their job, they're going to fall on their business. That's a trap. It's a risk because now you begin to use rentals from your business, food from your business, transport, talk time, and other bills from your business. That means your net worth is going to drastically be affected. So if you have a net worth that has a fund incorporated in it, and I'll be happy Upe, to share human capital as well as part of the net worth because I've done that on my net worth templates, which I give my people. The template contains human capital because human capital also hedges against the risk in an event that you lost your job or in an event that your income were reduced. You can leverage human capital to add some value to your net worth on that net worth statement. And a lot of people don't really look at themselves as capital, or they ignore the value they bring to the table. Nobody calculates their worth on the net worth. There are very few
Yeah.
people who do that, but I do that in my classes for my clients, and I tell them it's important to know your value and put it on your balance sheet because it's extremely important. Even investors will love you to see that you have. There has been some arguments, but I'm going to have a session later to explain why this is an important aspect. So I'm just happy that you brought up the debt with aspect, but because
Yeah.
I think it's important, and I
Yeah.
must commend you, Upe, for I think you've done so well. I love
Yeah.
the book that you wrote, about investment, and I wish many people can buy. It's only 50 kwacha, people.
Only
Can you
50
buy that
kwacha.
book? It's only 50 kwacha to get that book and get your
We
hands
love
on
people. Yeah.
investment for beginners. So I
Yeah.
think that's what. As we conclude, we're running out of time. You
Yeah.
said also that think long term and think lifestyle. How do we manage
Lifestyle.
those? Of course, under 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I think we touched a bit on think long term in that, like we're talking about, have a plan for your money. Like I'm saying, for me, when I talk about having the business is I don't think I should have, because if it's a company, it should be a separate legal entity, so it's a person, so I don't have access to my company's monies anyhow, right? So whatever it is it's paying me, that's all the money I can live off of, not so much the profits and everything. But like you have said, that's what people go and kill if a job is lost now, because you want to maintain a certain standard of living. And that's directly falls into think lifestyle. A
Yeah,
lot of people, friend, live for what people will see, right? For
yeah,
and I always like to give this example. I am, for instance, like if you saw the car we drive, we're just like, babe, we need to change it, but we're like, okay, let's hit this goal first, and when we're done, then we can change it, because then we can sleep at night, because we can actually afford it. But a lot of people are buying things for sure, for people who just go and gossip about them, for people who are not even paying attention. So people have inflated their lifestyle. Every time they just have a slight income in their work, it means they also increase their lifestyle to meet that. So when you think lifestyle, again, it goes back to clarity. Where do you want to go? Right? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And ensure that your actions match what you are trying to do. Because, friend, a lot of people think 65 is very old. You realize that at 65, you're still energetic, you still want to do fun things, you still have enough energy to travel, and you're not dozing. But if you haven't prepared for retirement, hey, you will suffer. So lifestyle is just be realistic, live within, or within your means if you're just trying to survive, or below your means if your goal is wealth. So
yeah.
just escape that lifestyle inflation, get clear what you want to do, think long term. Think saving is not going to make you rich, but investing instead. Think, yeah, think all these things for, and this is for beginners, right? There are people who are
Yeah,
intermediate and higher, but if you're
yeah,
just getting started on the investment journey, this is definitely how you position your mind.
yeah. And
Yeah,
and friends, I want to tell you, Wope, thank you very much for those insights. It's a soft copy, people. It's going at 50 kwacha. Investment
yeah,
for beginners. The book written by Wope, and excellent, amazing work done there to help you get started. But I want to tell you something.
yeah.
You are not behind. Usually in life, we think we are behind. There are people I admired, Wope, when I lived
Yeah,
in Kanyama. There are
yeah.
people I admired a lot. And today, when I meet them, they say they are inspired by me. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And that these are people that I hoped I was like them because I thought they
Mm,
were doing very fine. But today they tell me, what, we are inspired by your works. You are such a great example to us. And I'm shocked. So from
mm,
that, I've learned that I think I was not behind. I was
mm-hmm.
just impatient. And a
Yeah,
lot of people right now, they are
yeah.
broke, they are stuck, they are stressed, if not depressed, and they think they are
Mm,
behind because somebody their age is driving a nice car, is
mm-hmm.
living in a bigger house, looks
Mm-hmm.
good, it's well,
Mm-hmm.
and goes to the gym to build muscles. Guys, you are not
Yeah.
behind, you are just
No.
impatient. But every
Yeah.
good investment takes a substantial amount of time to grow.
Yeah.
Do not fake success to borrow against your future. It's okay to wear the same shirt, all right?
Mm.
It's okay to wear the same shirt
Just be
because you
clean.
know that you're going to have better shirts tomorrow. Just
Mm.
be clean. Don't get into debt in order for you to just fake success. Like Upe is saying, think lifestyle. You can't be a great investor if you don't change your lifestyle because lifestyle as a way it brings you down. A lot of people right now, Upe, are spending so much money on food and they
Mm.
wonder why they're not progressing. They cook five different types of dish in a day in a home, and they eat. They have lumanda, they have okra, they have impa, they have fish, they have beans, and they think these things are cheap. All right, because they went to Soweto, they spent about 20 kwacha on lumanda, whatever. But if you do that on a monthly basis, it's a lot of money spent on just radish alone. And now, when you
Mm.
cook five different types of radish, that means cooking oil also is going to be suffering. It's going to be finishing very fast. These are small expenses most people don't really pay attention to. Have you seen?
Mm.
So friends, what Rupa is saying here when we say think lifestyle, all right? Because we all want that nice car, like Rupa says, that feeling it gives and the respect we get. But don't kill yourself over a feeling. There are people who don't look like they have much, but they command a lot of respect. If you want people to respect you, it's not about clothing, it's not about having money. Respect yourself. I know a lot of those people who are a total nonsense. I don't want them near me. All right, because you just can't, you just don't want to be with them. So it's
Mm.
not about what you look like. It's not about how much, what kind of a car you drive. It's not about. And think, Bupa just told you. She told you the car they drive. They say, "Can you upgrade?" I said, "Let's wait." Bupa is a qualified lawyer. She has passed Ziali. All right. She's not in a hurry to go and buy a Ford. Wupe and I can afford
No,
a Ford
no.
Ranger. Honestly speaking, Wupe, we can afford a Ford
Honestly
Ranger. But what
speaking,
have we
I
done?
could, yeah,
We have
but
said, let's
no.
not buy our Ford Rangers. Let's wait.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, guys, Wupe can afford a Ford Ranger. I can afford one.
Don't do
All
that.
right.
You are going to bring people on my
But what are we
head.
saying? What we are saying here is that, like Wupe is saying, it's a good thing to keep a low profile, all right? Because you have a target you want to work towards. To you know, one day you're gonna grow old. You're gonna be 65. You're gonna be. Don't think you're dying anytime soon, all right?
No.
Some people are dancing right now. They think they're going to die soon. They'll be shocked. They'll be old and broke. All right.
Yeah.
So, people, I want to tell you this as we conclude. You are not behind. All right. Don't feel depressed. Don't feel stressed. Don't have that fear of missing out. It's going to make you make wrong investment decisions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time for you. Just follow the right channels. I like what Rupe brought up. Rupe, you said it took you 12 years to get a grade 12 certificate, and it took you between 4 to 6 years to get a university degree. And now you're getting a job that gives you 5,000 kwacha after 16 years of hard work, studying
Mm.
every day. What makes you think that you can just get a 5,000
Tomorrow.
kwacha and put an investment today and turn into 100,000 kwacha? That's impatience. All right. So don't become impatient. Once you become impatient, you begin to feel like other people are doing finer than you. All right.
Mm.
Be okay with what you have, but have a plan how you're going to grow. And if you want financial advice, that's why you have people like myself and my friend who can sit down with you and help you see how you can multiply your monies. But don't be in the speed mode, because they're going to make a lot of loss and it's not good for you. So think like an investor. I'm so grateful, my friend, for the points you brought to the
Thank
table.
you. Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to our next week session. Guys, you tell
Okay.
me, give us feedback, tell us your takeaway. All right, tell us what you think about this session. And we are so grateful for your
Yeah.
participation. We've seen the
As
comments.
always.
And of
And
course,
just to encourage people, friend, before we go, that, it's important to embrace your journey,
yeah,
no two journeys are exactly the same. Like you and I, our paths are completely different. But
yeah,
what one thing
yeah,
we've both done is, not like you are saying, you saw when you lived in Kanyama, you saw people and you're like, oh, I want that, right? For me, it was,
yeah,
I felt so many times at Ziali, and I kept looking at my friends. I was like, but what are they doing that I'm not doing, right? Two
yeah,
different paths, but we still overcame, right? And we're here now on a new path now, trying to
yeah,
achieve wealth. We're still on the
yeah,
journey trying to achieve wealth, and we're just saying, look, this is what we're learning. This is what got us from from 5,000 kwacha to here, right? And this is how we're planning to utilize this to get to the $1 million.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
So it's
So
just
people,
embracing your journey.
you're
It's
not
your path.
behind. I want you to remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Wupe, can you say this with me, Wupe? I want us to say together that you are not behind, you are just
Yeah, not
impatient. One,
okay.
one, two, three,
At
Wupe.
three,
At
you are
three,
one, two, three. You are
you
not
are not
not
behind,
behind. You are
you are
just
just impatient.
impatient. I'm
Come on,
so,
Wupe. Guys, this is true, Wupe.
yeah, it's
When
facts though.
you are
Yeah,
suffering, Wupe, when you have no
yeah.
minimum,
It
you feel
pains.
like you are behind.
It
It
pains.
depends.
It
Do not
pains.
to wake up in the morning, you want to have some nice meal you can't afford. You can't even afford a
Yeah,
shirt for yourself. It's very
it
painful.
pains.
And you have a guy from the
Yeah.
neighborhood, like Mr. Ichdema was saying today, that some people are driving nice cars and they don't even work. That's a
Yeah.
sin. So guys, every good thing takes time. You are not
It takes
behind. I want you to
time.
remember that.
Yeah.
Write somewhere in your diary, write somewhere in your book, say I am not behind. All right.
No.
When you become patient, you're going to have the right state of mind to think straight.
Mm,
If you're
yeah.
impatient, it impairs your thinking a bit. You begin to make stupid decisions when it comes to
Mm.
financial decision investment. So take your time. All of us are going to get there. Let's take it a step at a
Eventually,
time.
yeah.
Let's
We'll
follow the
get
right
there.
process of investment. If you want to get rich quick, I assure you, you're going to crash and to crash very bad. And I don't have sympathy for such people who are
Yeah.
in a hurry to make it. No, because there's a process.
Yeah.
Think the example we give about school. You spend
Yeah.
12 years to get a certificate from grade 12 and 4 to 6 years to get a degree. And now you're getting 5,000 kwacha. What
Mm.
makes you think you can make 100,000 kwacha just like that because you put 5,000 kwacha? You have to be patient. You have to build
Yeah.
systems to grow a business, have a clientele. All right. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We see you next week, Friday, same time on Truth and Transformation. Wupe,
Information.
thank you very much for your insights, my friend. I'm blessed. You see, see the kind of
Always
people
great
I'm
to be
found
here.
with now. Okay, I'm now found with Wupe, guys. Can you believe
I
that?
appreciate you too. You know this. Thanks a lot. So until
Uh,
next week.
Until next week, my friend, regards to Big Mose.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.